bring up and have a meaningful conversation with, but it's not that easy. And I feel like we as an industry feel a little stifled because we don't always get to weigh in on these conversations. Lobbying dollars go a long way, and if you have the right money, and your voice is going to be heard. And that's the unfortunate truth within politics. You mentioned adoption, and I think you could either kick this off, or Brett, we mentioned that this might be something you have some thoughts on about adoption of drone technology in public safety since the Blue UAS standard was rolled out in Florida and has been looked at as kind of the first mover to making these sorts of decisions. You mentioned that there are several departments. Rich, you mentioned several departments have basically stopped their UAS program, or at the moment they can't do anything with the DJI drones that not only cannot be on their shelves, but literally have to be disposed of or gotten rid of, from my understanding. So if someone was a year ago would get called out and they'd bring their drone, that DJI drone is now no longer with them. And if they don't have the money or the grants or whatever to replace it, they're not doing anything with the UAS program. How have you seen that kind of cause the industry to take a step back? Rich, you could start us off, and then Brett, if you want to do a follow-up on that.
Yeah, so obviously, an agency losing capabilities is always not a good thing, right? You don't want agencies not to be able to show up and put a drone in the air. What I would say is that what we've done here in Florida, in the wake of the legislative challenge that we've had, we got motivated. We organized at a state level, and this is something I try to encourage everybody to do, every state to do. And we fielded hundreds, well, dozens, we'll call it dozens of calls with agencies from different states that saw what's happening in Florida, and they say, hey, this might be happening with us. What do we got to do to create what you guys have? Because in the wake of that, we built FlowGroup, the Florida UAS Coordination Group, through drone responders, and it became a sounding board, or we became pretty popular in the state, especially at the legislative level. So some of the folks that we have on our team have heavy voices, and it gave us a seat at the table at Tallahassee. So that was big for us. But what it also did, more to your point, was now we were coordinated with other agencies around us. So we got to know a lot of the folks that we may not have known before. Again, I want to say 330, 340 members. I want to say maybe 150, 160 agencies in the state of Florida that are part of FlowGroup now. So we have these conversations, we communicate with each other, we do trainings throughout the state. But what even more importantly is now I know my neighbors, I know what their capabilities are now, what they do have, what they don't have. So if they needed something, they know they can reach out to us for support. And that's what it boils down to, right? Help, agency helping out agency. Unmanned systems have been I think that the bridge between law enforcement and fire that you've never seen before, right? Fire and cops have always had this cat and dog kind of relationship, but unmanned systems have been what has brought us together. So being able to know my neighbors and know what their capabilities are, or what they've lost because of this legislation, has been a huge help. So I think that's how we're kind of answering the call. That may not fix the problem, but it's a temporary band-aid and a solution for for the time being.
Well, I would ask which is the cat and which is the dog, but we'll
obviously we're the dogs. Obviously.
Perfect. Brett, do you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, sure. So